Hello everyone and welcome to Tailored Acres. I'm Taylor and I am a gardener in Wisconsin, Zone 4B, right near Wisconsin Rapids. This video is going to be about my most hated pests that I deal with and how I am trying to conquer them. There are 4 pests that I deal with the most in my vegetable garden, and that is squash bugs, squash vine borers, Japanese beetles, and potato bugs. I also have 2 bugs that dominate my flowers, and that is the red lily beetle and the twice stabbed stink bug. So I'm going to go through each one of these and show you how I'm trying to battle them each. So first up, we'll talk about the red lily beetle. And as you can see, these ones are making babies right now, which is great to catch them before they lay their eggs. So what I'm going to do here is either squish them, knock them into a bucket of soapy water, or my favorite is this little handheld vacuum. And I'll just vacuum them right off of the leaf. So let's see if I can do it and record at the same time here. So just like that, and then they're in there somewhere. So what I'm going to do with them in here is I'll just knock them into a bucket of soapy water. Actually even haven't been putting soap in them, but that's how I deal with the adults on here. So I just have found another adult that I was going to suck up in here and I missed it. And what they do is they just drop into the ground and it seems like I can never find them. So if you miss them, you're going to have to come back to look again. Actually, he's right there. He didn't drop to the ground. So whoops, something just ran into my hand. Another thing to note on these is that I come out every single day to get them. And they seem to be most active when it is warm out, so like midday. So I got about 8 this time around, sucking them up, which is just crazy. Another thing I wanted to note that's going to help battle them is if your leaves end up getting all stripped, just cut your lily down. The stem isn't really going to put much energy back into it, and then they don't have that habitat to reproduce on. So if your leaves are looking like this, you definitely have red lily beetles. So this is what they do along with their larvae to the leaves. They just totally eat them up. So I'm going to try to find some feeding larvae to try to show you, but it just looks like a bunch of poop on the end of your leaf. Like it would be like under here. So they just mow the whole leaf down to nothing. That's what you're looking for. Okay, so I found one. So if you can see that right here, there's just like, it looks like poop. So what I do is I just go through, snap that leaf off, and then throw it in the garbage. Easy as that. But they're so disgusting. Oh, there might be some actually like little babies there too, and that are not poop covered. Lovely. So the red lily beetles actually poop on their larvae to protect them from predators. Disgusting. These are an absolutely disgusting bug. So I'll go through and then pick out all the ones that look like this and get them tossed in the garbage. And the last thing I've been doing to combat the red lily beetles is this diatomaceous earth. So it comes with this little pumper sprayer thing. So you fill this up, and then it should just, do little puffs. So puff this all over your plants, and that should kill the larvae too. And that's about it. I just hope for the best. The next one I'm going to tackle are the squash bugs. And this year I added a tool to my collection here. So this is just a mini butane torch. It's refillable. I got it on Amazon. Well, it looks like it's almost empty. Might have to fill it again. And you can get refillable canisters too, and you can get that just from Walmart even. So what we're looking for here first of all is the eggs, and I see a lot of them. So this is what the eggs look like. They're usually in some sort of a pattern, and they're that size. So I can see more over here on that leaf. They're usually on the under, or they'll be like right there. So that's what we'll be looking for. So I also am going to need to look for adult bugs, and usually if you shake the plant a little bit, they'll come off. Yes, here we go. So these are some juveniles here. Ugh, they're just so gross. So they're gray in color. They're just a little beetle guy. So I'm also going to suck these up with my little mini vacuum and dump them in a bucket of water. And then the adults, I might have to find a picture for you guys. I'm not seeing any, which is good. Those I also either just squish or suck up with the little vacuum. So we'll get the torch out next. I forgot to note though, I always look for leaves that have some damage on it like this. That's usually where these guys are feeding on, so it makes them easier to find. Okay, so I'm going to show you how easily the torch gets rid of these eggs, and they make a popping sound, which I guess is kind of satisfying because these are just the devil creatures. So just like that. In your leaf, you will lose some of it with that damage, but it's better than letting these guys go, and that has been my easiest way to deal with them as well. I have seen lots of people say like duct tape or packaging tape for the eggs, but I never had luck with that. So this has been simple for me and my favorite way. One more note with this torch is that it's really freaking hot, so watch your fingers when you're doing this. You don't want to burn yourself. So here's one where they have just hatched. They're all sitting outside on their eggs, so I'm just going to take the torch to this one too. And I found a big daddy. So this is what the adults look like, and they're the worst. They're the ones that will eat your fruit or tarnish it, take little bites out of it. That's what these guys do. Here's another good example of a suspicious leaf. Yuck! I did forget to mention that the red lily beetles focus on my Asiatic type lilies. And then the squash bugs you're going to find on any sort of squash. So summer squash, winter squash, any of those. So I can see I have another baby boom right here. Ugh, so gross. And then, so this is on summer squash, a zucchini. The next pests that we're going to talk about are squash vine borers. So these are going to be in your pumpkins, your winter squash, your summer squash, everything, same as the squash beetle. But these ones attack the stems. So in here, what we are looking for is something like this. Like right here. See how it looks kind of like sawdust? And right there, I am thinking there's probably actually one in here already. So what I usually look for, like once a week, is little tiny eggs around the stem here. And those, when they hatch, they go into the vine, and that's why they're called vine borers, obviously. So they go and they will feast, and they will eat and suck the life out of your plant. And one day it'll come out and it will be all wilted, and this may even be disconnected from the roots. So that is what you're looking for on these. I do a proactive application of BT injected directly into the stem. And like I said, I also come out like once a week and look for those little eggs and just squish them with my thumbnail. So this is some BT solution mixed up. Whoop, if I can do it with one hand. So it's a syringe, and then what I'm going to do is just poke it into here a little bit where I can feel where there's a little resistance. And see, mine always comes out a little bit like where the holes are, but I think that's okay. This has been working really well for me. Let me see if I can get... So usually if I do one like right here, it will come out of that hole. And watch your eyes when you do this too. It likes to squirt out. So yes, I can see it coming out of there, if you can see that. So there is probably one in there. So now we got it nice and good. I'll probably do one more injection up higher, but I like to do it along the stem because there can be multiple guys in there. So these little ones are hard to do. A lot of times they don't have an open center. So I'll just kind of pull some of the BT at the bottom if I can't get it to go in here. I also start doing this probably around mid-July, and then I'll do it like every week or every other week, whatever I remember to do. Also, if you see an adult, try to squish it, but they are like the fastest bugs. I think I've only gotten like 3 of them before, so they're very hard to get, but I'll put a picture on the screen of what they are. I haven't actually seen one this year even. So I did actually find some eggs on this one. So this one I'm just going to squish them with my nail, which I can't video and squish them at the same time, but you kind of get the picture. The next pest on here I'm sure you all will easily identify as the Japanese beetle. They absolutely love green beans, so mine are always centered around the green beans. There's one flying down there. So the first thing I do to counteract these guys is these Japanese beetle traps, which work really good. You can see all the dark ones at the bottom in the trap there. I usually don't put it that close, and I think I'm going to move it out. I just wanted to try that this year to see if it was any more effective. And then I have another one that's outside of the garden in a tree on the other side. I'll show you guys if I remember to do that, but there are a lot of them in there. We live out in the country, so we're not really attracting more to our yard. And if they all end up in there anyway, like that's kind of what I want to happen, right? So the other thing that I do for these guys is just knock them into a bucket of water and let them rot in there. So that's what I'm going to do next. I don't know that I can do this and hold the camera at the same time. Usually they just fall in if you flick them. Sometimes they hang on. There we go. Easy peasy. You don't even have to touch them. You can wear gloves. They do give me the heebie-jeebies too, but just look for damage like this. They basically make lace out of your leaves, but they're pretty simple to take care of for the most part. And again, these traps, especially this brand, has been really effective for me. A tip from my stepmom too was to put them in the bucket and then leave them over whatever they are attacking. It's supposed to act as a deterrent. So I've never tried that before, but I have been leaving them under the plum tree that we got, the dwarf plum, which has just been ravaged by them. And it does seem to be working. I've only seen a couple on there now, so might be something to that one. And the last pest to talk about in the garden before moving back to the flowers is the potato bug. So these were potatoes that we harvested yesterday actually, and the leaves have just been absolutely ravaged by these things. I usually do a better job of controlling these, but I just kind of fell behind this year. So what I have done in the past is just the Colorado potato beetle killer from, ooh man, I can't remember what company it is. I'll put it on the screen, but that did work well. And then now in the past couple of years, I've been trying to go more spray free, besides the BT, obviously, because that's a very targeted application. So, and I believe it's just a spinosad that it is based on. So that does take care of them pretty well. So what I've actually been doing though is just picking them into a bucket of water, like many of the other bugs out here. They can't get out and then they perish in there. So once you also see the larva, if you get that far, you need to pick those off and squish them as well. I bet that diatomaceous earth would work on those as well. Many options with the potato bugs, but like I said, I did not do a good job on keeping up with them this year. All right, the last pest to talk about here is in the cut flower garden, and that is these twice stabbed stink bugs. They're the worst. They're constantly mating, laying eggs, and just being all over the snapdragons. That's their favorite thing. So what I did, I think it was last week, I cut them all back to try to eliminate the numbers in here. I also, when I harvest my snapdragons, I flick them all into a bucket so that there are less adults out here. But the number of them I have out here is absolutely insane. So I'm actually considering not growing snapdragons next year to kind of disperse their population. We'll see what I decide. But they are just a pain in the butt. Here's another one. We'll see if we can get it to focus. There we go. They're the worst. You will see their little eggs laying along here too. I don't see any. But this is the kind of damage that they do here. See that little bite mark? So there'll be lots of those little ones on there. They don't hurt you. They don't fly if you harvest them and they come inside, but they're just such a pain in the butt. So that's about it for those. If I figure out anything else, I'll let you know on those. My poor snapdragons. They're one of my favorite flowers too, but just getting wrecked by them. So just a few honorable mention pests that I don't seem to have as much issues with because of things that I've done to fix their population issues is thrips. I had a really big issue with thrips a few years ago, and I have leaned more heavily into not spraying at all and beneficial insects. So I use Nature's Good Guys, and they have targeted pests for what, or targeted good guy bugs for what pests you're dealing with. Whoa, the bird almost got me. So they, what I did was beneficial nematodes, I did ladybugs, and I did predatory mites, and that seemed to make a huge difference. So the best way to combat those pests though is to do it proactively. So to do an application in spring and then as needed after that. This year I did also green lacewings, which I've seen a few of those around, which is really cool to see. And they're just a general predator. So if you're looking for no spray versions to combat your bugs, that is some of them that I would recommend. The beneficial nematodes, I think, attack some of the other things like Japanese beetle larvae, or like when they're in the ground. So those are really good to have too. And the last honorable mention pest is the tarnished plant bug, which really go after the dahlias. So once I figure out these guys and their pest control, I'll do a video just on that because I know you all love dahlias. Okay friends, thanks for joining today. And if I didn't cover something you were looking for, let me know and I'll try to get you some help. All right, take care.